Good morning, everyone. Um, Hope you're having a good day, trying to stay safe and get through this pandemic. If you go to Mass every day, um, not just on Sundays, in the course of a year, you would read from every single book in the Bible at our Masses. We're not just a Eucharist church, we are definitely also a Bible church. And I wanted to give you a little Bible history, first of all, today. During these summer days, we have been reading from Old Testament books. We started out reading a little bit about Genesis, and then Exodus, and Leviticus, and Numbers, and Deuteronomy. The Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, we worked our way through them. And then Moses died on the top of Mount Nebo, looking at the Promised Land, instructing the people that when they go in there to remember their God and not to worship false gods. And then we jumped into the book of Joshua because Joshua took over for Moses and he led God's people into the Promised Land. And then this week, we have been reading from what's called the book of Judges. Now, when the people got into the Promised Land and Joshua died, they forgot their faith and they began to worship false gods. And when that happened, the enemies would defeat them and there would be a crisis. And God would have compassion on them and he would rise up someone, a temporary leader, to get them through the crisis, like Samson and Gideon and Deborah. These were the judges. They were temporary leaders in moment of crisis. But then Israel said, we can't go on like this because, see, at the time of the judges, they were 12 tribes. Jacob had 12 sons, and that was the foundation of Israel. And then these sons became 12 tribes. And that's where they were at the time of Judges. They were just tribes. They were not one nation. And they would pull together for a crisis, and then they would go back to being tribes again. And this went on, and they said, we can't keep doing this. We need to get a king. We need to have someone that pulls all together. And that's when Saul became king, and David and Solomon, and that's when Israel really became a nation. I give this background to you because I think that's where we are becoming as a nation. There was a time when we were like one nation under God, and now we're becoming more and more tribal. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm straight. I'm gay. I'm from California. I'm from New York. I like this team. I like that team. I hate Trump. I love Trump. I'm for the vaccine. I'm against the vaccine. We're just becoming a collection of tribes. And not only a collection of tribes, but a collection of tribes that don't get along. And we're in that terrible time in our country, and we're looking for a king. We're looking for someone who can really kind of pull us together. And sometimes things happen like 9/11 and January 6th that remind us that we are really one nation under God. And but we've forgotten, and we go back to being tribes again, and we forget that we are one country, and we are searching these days, these terrible days, looking for someone to bring us together. We're looking for a king. Now, the Catholic Church is really fortunate because we have that king. We have a pope. We call him the pontiff. That means a bridge builder. And he keeps us together. When we get into squabbles about liberal or conservative or this or that, he's the one that kind of reminds us, hey, listen, we're one church. And so here we are in this difficult time looking for a secular pope. Because the things that used to keep us together, like morality and religion and the common good and responsible freedom, they're just being chipped away gradually, slowly but surely in our tribal mentality. And this is where we are. And we pray, Lord, please send us someone who can really remind us that we are one nation under God, by the way. I don't know if you saw this story in the paper, but there was a woman by the name of Joanne Klimchik. And in March of 2020, when the pandemic was really raging and they were closing churches and schools and nursing homes, she checked herself into a nursing home to be quarantined because that's where her mother was. Her mother, Evelyn was in a nursing home. They were going to close the nursing home down, and she didn't want her mother to be alone or be afraid. So she left her career and her family and her own interests, and she went into this nursing home, and she stayed with her mother for 84 days. Her mother eventually died, not of the virus, but of something else. And she said, my mother watched me take my first breath, and I watched her take her last breath. That's America. That generosity, that compassion, that is what makes us who we are. And that's what we try to capture again and again as we struggle to get over this tribalness that divides us, and to remind ourselves that we are one nation and we are together, and this will be our salvation. All right, everybody, I hope you have a good day, and I will see you later. Bye now.